Storytelling is something I've always loved. Ever since I was young, I would write romantic short stories and then draw scenes depicting the characters in order to bring those stories to life. When I write, it's a way of me expressing myself creatively, and I think being able to do that later in life is a form of play for me. When I write erotic stories, the process is never the same. Sources of inspiration can be personal experiences intertwined with scenes I may have seen in art or old films. By loosely basing scenarios or characters on reality, I get to layer the stories with some truth, and I include hints throughout that only I'll know where they've come from, even though I'd never reveal where. This gives the reader an authentic tale that isn't just based on one person's story told verbatim. Honestly, ideas come from anywhere. It can be as simple as a piece of music that might trigger a vision of a person or a scenario in my head, and then I'll build from that. And sometimes I'd just like to work from the characters first, so I could really go into detail on their hairstyle or a particular body part, a way they look at the other characters. There's not one way in which I will do it. It will change depending on what feels right for the particular story I'm writing. Location is really important for the erotic scenes that I write. Early in the development of a story, I need to picture the character's environment, what obstacles are between them, and imagine the places and where the sexual interactions between them can take place. I usually like to map it all out like a bit of a playground, crafting the details of those physical moments after I've established exactly where they'd be placed in a scene. This will include like atmosphere and even down to what the temperature might be like and how that can affect the character's mood. Certain light coming through a window or a scent in the air, these are factors that I will use to allow the reader to be drawn into the story. I have to say, if I don't get a physical reaction to an idea, it won't make the edit. I want the reader to feel something too. It's a solo experience writing an erotic story in as much as it is reading one. I need to be alone in order to feel intimately connected to those characters. I can't do that with other people around me, so I can't write when I'm in cafes or on public transport. I can get ideas that come up throughout the day, but I need to be in a space where I feel like I can indulge in that moment and be with them. When writing the physical actions of sex between characters, I will put myself in the body of each of the characters involved. I don't have a bias towards the female characters. I try to describe the scenario from all perspectives to try and make it as authentic as I possibly can, so the audience can choose to take whichever route they want to with the characters as well. Also, my choice of language is integral when I write graphic scenes. I tread carefully between choosing words that feel realistic as well as tasteful. While scenes I write are explicit, I prefer to be ambiguous about words to describe certain body parts, as this allows the reader to apply their own preference and use their imagination rather than use terms that might not be to everyone's taste. I think there's a lot that can be described about a physical act without having to use cliched words or slang that might just diminish the sensuality of a scene. Being in the right state of mind is obviously key for writing erotic stories. Being relaxed is important, but not too relaxed. Setting the scene for where I write includes lighting candles or playing instrumental music. I actually have a playlist of music that I like to write to, and a bit of a ritual that I follow before I get started. Abstaining from pleasure before writing the most explicit scenes of a new story is part of that, as I think it helps build tension and allows me to create more anticipation within the story itself. The last part of the writing process is the structure for me. Once I have the location, the characters, their encounters, and the dynamic down, only then do I usually craft the plot structure to give the story its beginning, its middle and end, and then any twists.